And we're live.
All right, perfect. Always a little faux pas here at the middle, at the beginning, just to make it interesting. Well, hi everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Fearless Fight Live. Of course, I'm Captain Ron, and with me, First Officer, Technical Officer, and all around good guy who makes this thing possible, Dieter Staudinger. So again, if you're live or watching this, watching the replay, please drop a note and tell us you're here, where you're calling from, or where you're watching from. And please ask us any questions. We love to have questions. And if we don't know the answers, we'll make it up. So
Yeah, and
no,
it's always a good idea if you can actually see us and hear us, just put it in chat so that I can see because just because we have our little live button, it's always tricky for us to actually notice that. So appreciate if you can put it in. And because today's topic is all about therapy, I want to share something that I've actually talked with somebody um, not that long ago that humility is not weakness. Being humble doesn't mean that we're weak. It actually really means that we have confidence, and that confidence allows us to be humble, and we don't need to be so tight on things. So, because that was a conversation about, oh, but what if I get too cocky and oh, but being humble means I'm not really sure, and we're gonna address some of these things in the presentation today, I'm sure.
yeah, being humble means you don't know all the answers, and it to me, I take it as a clear indicator that you've got your shame on the run if you can be humble, because people without shame are the best ones to hang around with. So anyway, so here we go. Of course, the first thing we do, we always encourage you, if you are new, or if you've been here before and you haven't joined the Birds of Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather, please consider doing that. It's a great way to start working on your fear of flying, or if you're already taking some big steps and want to stay supported. Birds of a Feather is a great place for you. It's safe, private, and filled with people who not only get it, but they get you. So we call it Birds of a Feather because we all flock together. We're all in this together, it's our duty to help each other. All right, let's take a quick look at what's coming up tonight. We're going to start with a really, really important topic, and that's therapy and fear of flying, and what works and does it work? I mean, that's probably a bigger question even, but we're going to talk about what works. We're going to talk about some things that have come across over the years, and some things actually mostly learned from you all out there, or people like you who taught me what works and what doesn't. So there's a lot of options out there, and tonight we'll help you try to break through the noise and find what's effective. Uh, we'll talk about some updates on our Fearless Flight classes, the 101 class coming up in LA. Actually, before that, the 101 class coming up this Saturday night in Phoenix again. Gosh, it just seems like I just did one back there. Time goes so fast. And then, of course, the 301 graduating flight, we got people signed up. If you want to, it's not too late. They haven't jacked up the fares yet at Southwest. It's still time to get on board for the October 25th class. You can either join us in Burbank or in Phoenix, and we really, really are looking forward to anybody who comes along with us. That's the most fun that you can have as a Fearful Flyers.
And we'll
Is
definitely already have a few um, uh, people that are signed up, so that's really exciting.
Yeah,
And I will say this, Ron, you know that, as we age, we always think that the time moves faster, but in this particular case, we actually had the cleared for takeoff 101 class in Phoenix a week later, so that's why it seemed that there's even less time. So
yeah. So
um
I got a busy month, and we wanted, like Dieter said, we want to get these classes out there so you feel like you're prepared for that. So okay, therapy and fear flying? It's so common. There's literally millions of people, 15 to 25%, depending on who you ask on what day. Uh, I got some new cabinets put in the house here, and it was funny. We're just talking about what was going to go on. I'm going to move my studio over there and everything. And the fella installing the cabinets, when he found out I did Fear of Flying, he said, "Oh wow, my wife's kind of not a crazy or a real good flyer." And so he and his wife might show up this Saturday night. But that's my experience over the years since 38 years ago when I started doing this. I talk a little bit about it, or people become aware it's what I do, and about 1 out of 3 people say, "Yep, I'm afraid to fly," and another third say, "I know somebody." So just like this fellow with his wife here. So why it develops? Well, we have these things that trigger our flight or
Do you
flight.
mean to share the
Yeah.
presentation?
Oh,
Um,
that would be a
because you're
heck
not
of a
actually sharing, so maybe
yeah,
you can just do a formal intro for that part, so that
yeah. That would be really good if I did that. So sorry, Dieter. Son of a gun. I got carried away here. Uh,
yeah,
okay.
our video editor
Yeah,
will
so
like.
we'll just back up a little bit. So let's talk about conquering the skies, specifically therapy and fear of flying.
Except you're still not sharing. I don't
I
see you
suppose
sharing.
I should hit, you mean I actually got to hit the share button? Isn't that a kicking butt? Only done this a gazillion times. Here we go. I'll bet that works better.
Close. Now you just need to
Except
share the
for
right
if I get the
screen.
right screen up there.
Ta-da!
Third time's charm. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about conquering the skies. How do you do that? Well, therapy and fear of flying. Let's talk a little bit about that tonight. So it affects millions, as I said before, and anxiety replaces enthusiasm. And what we try to do is reverse that trend. Why it develops? There's things called triggers, and like turbulence, claustrophobia, loss of control is another really big one out there, and of course the underlying issue for everybody is feeling out of control or like you're losing control. And what these things do is they initiate the physiological response that is called for by your amygdala. And anticipatory anxiety before flights, actually, I think 99% of the problem is anticipatory anxiety for most people, whether it's afraid that something will happen with the airplane or afraid that something will happen with them. The airplane's airworthiness, if you will, or your airworthiness. And and some of the deeper fears are mechanical, somatic, just the feelings that you get overwhelmed, or catastrophic thinking and worries. And research shows that therapy, especially when it's combined with CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and exposure, is really effective. 75%, according to the American Psychological Association, 75% of people who seek help uh, get back to flying without fear after some kind of a structured program. So fear is not permanent, and progress is possible. It's just the story that you tell yourself. And basically, what I do through coaching and other programs we have is we help you explore the roots of your flight anxiety. It doesn't mean you have to find the deep-seated causes all the time, although a lot of times people do find that the insights lead them there. Um, we talk about why therapy works. There's some new tools out there, VR, virtual reality, biofeedback, and forms of biofeedback like EMDR, which uses bilateral stimulation. And there are airline programs out there. There don't happen to be many or any in the U.S. here that are sponsored by airlines. And what's the goal? It's to reclaim your freedom and the confidence and your ability to travel. What you need is confidence in 2 things. One, the airplane's going to be reliable, and 2, that you're going to be reliable. And the key reminder is the conquering the skies doesn't mean eliminating fear. It means managing it. It means flying in spite of it and discovering the strength that many people really didn't know that they had. Ah, what's the nature of fear? Well, it's multifaceted. It's rarely about one issue. And I've touched on it before. Common triggers turbulence. normal, but it feels unsafe. And you get these biological reactions that start in you, like the white knuckles, the racing heart, the catastrophic thinking that goes on, and it really, really upsets you. Some people are bothered more by claustrophobia, or maybe more correctly, claustrophobia, the fear of being locked and trapped inside that closed cabin, and then not being able to control it, mainly by getting out. After all, it's kind of complicated to be flying along at 35,000 feet and pull off to the side of the road, and your mind knows that. And so when anticipatory anxiety builds up, it can begin days or weeks before. Booking flights can spark stress, and before you know it, you're just all out of whack worrying about the flight coming up. We have found, narrowed it down to three layers of fear. One is mechanical, that's more related to the airplane malfunctions. One is, another level is somatic fears, fear of your response, panic, racing heart, literally being afraid of the somatic feelings that generate inside. And then another one is existential fears. These are the what ifs. You know, what if this happens? What if this happens? Up anything from catastrophes to actually dying. And the key thing you want to remember is understanding these layers of fear allows your therapy or your coaching to target each one using education, cognitive tools, learning how to distract or disrupt your thinking, and exposure. And I'll add one more layer, and that's community support. And that's what hopefully one of the benefits you get by joining the group, our group tonight, and joining Birds of a Feather, because we need that support from other people. Why does it work, or how effective is it? Well, as I mentioned, the APA, the American Psychological Association, reports that 3 out of every 4 people who do go get some kind of help can fly again. And exposure-based CBT, that's really the gold standard for overcoming your fear of flying. And what you try to do is you gradually try to expose yourself to triggers, images, turbulence, sight, sounds, and sensations, and sometimes virtual reality. And it retrains your brain you literally create new neuron pathways in your brain due to something called neuroplasticity, where we actually can create new thoughts and formulate new thoughts and feelings. It helps you to reduce panic and build resilience, which is what it's all about. Personalized treatment. This pertains to screening tools, tailor therapy to unique triggers like turbulence, claustrophobia, and anticipatory anxiety. That's one of the things that we do here. We help you identify your triggers, and then that helps lead you on a path as to where you should go. And Dieter's been working really hard on the next level of Fearless Flight, and that is our upcoming FLAP, which is going to be our flight anxiety profile. Well, you'll be able to take this and it will give you a lens through which you can look at your own anxiety, and it will help streamline developing the kinds of treatment that's going to be most effective to you, and eliminate some wasted time that in pursuing other things that really aren't that helpful. Because not everybody has the same type of anxiety, and not everybody has shares the same way to get better over it. The bottom line is therapy has been proven. It's evidence-based and gives most people their freedom to fly and fly without anxiety. How does exposure therapy work? Well, ultimately that's what's going to get you over. The more you fly with some tools, skills, and strategies to work on while you're doing it, the more you're going to reduce the impact of fear. And breaks exposure therapy breaks the avoidance cycle, and because avoidance actually strengthens your fear, and exposure reverses it. Should you ever not fly, either make a conscious decision to avoid flying or not go to the airport, or worse, get off of a flight before it pushes back, what it does is you get this temporary release of dopamine, and there's a part of your brain that says, yes, we got him. And so you get a short-term reward. But if you've ever done that, or you've ever talked to anybody who's experienced that, you know that it is really short term, and then you experience at least disappointment over not having gone. I've talked to families that where mom or dad in particular got to the airport and literally could not get on the airplane, and they had to wave goodbye to the rest of their family. It's really, really terrible for a lot of people who've been through that. So you start small. Maybe looking at pictures of airplanes, maybe looking at YouTube videos. It may be a 15-minute coaching call with me. However you do it, the most important thing is to get started. And you gradually increase the steps from that. So you take on more videos. You maybe listen to some of the sounds of airplanes, things like the flight harmonizer that we have that integrates both positive narrative and affirmations with actual sights or sounds of being on an airplane. Visit the airport. I know a lot of people just driving to the airport and going inside triggers them. So that's one way to start your desensitization. The class that we have here on Friday night or on Saturday night at the airport, we'll hold that on a real live Boeing 737. That's a great opportunity for anybody who will be in Phoenix this Saturday. And then if you're anywhere near LA on October 11th, that's also going to be a great opportunity. It's a place where you can come. We have a mock-up over there of both the boarding area and an airplane. So, and then of course the final step, granted, it's a big one, is to board an airplane and take a real flight. Virtual reality simulations, boarding and turbulence. I've never experienced virtual reality other than the little handheld things. I know it's very powerful for some of the things that I've seen. I've never seen it related to a Fear of Flying program. I have talked to people who said that, you know, it was a little bit difficult for them to actually get as much benefit as they'd hoped for, because, you know, frankly, you're not on a real airplane. And your brain knows when you put on the goggles that you're creating something and you're not really in that environment. I wouldn't discourage anybody if you have that opportunity, and I'd love to hear from anybody who's done virtual reality. I think the future of that is pretty good. I know now something that was rare a few years ago, these 360 cameras that you can use. I've thought about that myself, putting on a little beanie and taking a flight and letting the camera circle the area around me or film the video the area around me and see if we can get something that looks real. But flight simulators are great. When I was active, I had an opportunity to take several classes out to our training facility here in the Phoenix area. And I tell you, you can't help but being impressed by just getting on a flight simulator and looking at all the what we have available for us to train us as pilots. And then of course what I do again at the Phoenix airport is we're able to go out to the airport, go through the TSA and get some realistic things. You can watch the videos. We often publish the videos of some of our classes with the content, and that's another way you can get a little bit more of a realistic impression, albeit secondhand. Cognitive restructuring is something, you know, we probably aren't as familiar with that term, but what you do is replace fearful thoughts with balanced ones. Like turbulence is safe but not uncomfortable. The more common term that we use is reframing. That's one of the foundations of what I do in coaching, what Dieter recommends. And then the key thing to remember about exposure and therapy is it should be gradual, have structured steps with new thinking. That's the difference. I have people tell me that they fly for business all the time, but they're not getting any better. And that's because they don't have any structure in their thinking to help them reframe and come up with new ways of thinking about flying. And when you do this, when you do structured steps plus new thinking, you find that your confidence replaces avoidance, and it's just the best thing about that. It's a little bit, just a little bit here. This is going to be the shallowest part of my research here, talking about virtual reality. I did find in this, I didn't want to take the time to go into any real deep dive in this, but I wanted to give you some highlights. A little what I found out about virtual reality exposure. Of course, it's safe and controlled simulated flights, and there's apps like Zerophobia. It recreates boarding, turbulence, full passenger journey. Frankly, I think you get the same on your own by boarding a flight and journaling, and so that you can refer to it down the road. There's biofeedbacks out there and devices, and one of the things that we do with a structured and custom guided visualizations or neurosync visualizations is very much makes use of biofeedback. And the flight harmonizer, of course, uses bilateral stimulation, which replicates what happens to the brain during REM sleep, which is the part of your sleep every night that helps you to reprocess memories and experiences that from the day. Tools, biofeedback, of course, you can track stress in real time. I know I wear a chest strap. I just got the new Apple Watch. I haven't had a chance to take advantage of it yet, but man, it'll do everything except fix breakfast. It'll certainly analyze your breakfast, but it's a great tool, and it does allow. I've been playing around with HRV, heart rate variability, for years, and we don't talk about this as much. I ought to probably do a lesson on that, or a show on that. And it's looking at your heartbeat between the beats. And it tells you a lot about where you're at in terms of stress, because heart rate variability represents a function between the relationship in any given time between your sympathetic nervous system, the part of you that gets amped up and excited and prepares you for fight or flight, and your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of you that calms you down. And so it's another way to one, learn more about your own physiology and physical well-being. And another one, it helps to put your mind somewhere else, which is the ultimate cure, is when you learn how to retrain your attention and recapture it from when it gets hijacked by anxiety. Group classes every month. We got another one coming up on the third Thursday of October, which starts tomorrow. I can't believe the month is over already. But it'll be the third Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. pardon me, Eastern time. And we'll have a theme, and I'm going to introduce that at the end of tonight's show here. And the thing to remember is virtual reality, biofeedback, and the community all go together to enhance things like cognitive behavioral therapy. And it helps to make your therapy more interactive and personalized, and by all means accessible. So if you've never looked into some of these other areas, let me know. Okay, virtual reality fear in here, and just a little bit more of what I found. It's safe, it's controlled, and it's repeatable exposures without leaving the ground. Like I said, I don't know of anything other than the handheld things that people have. I'm going to look into this more. The problem is it's hard to invest in something like that when in any one area, because I mean, my client are all anything but located in Phoenix area, but he's all over the world. These are some tools. There's a company called Avio VR. They're based in Turkey, and they have full process simulation, airport to landing with motion. It looked kind of cool. And they have motion in their seats. So it looks like a high-tech theater. But, if you're thinking about getting a hair transplant, maybe a trip to Turkey, you can take in the VR thing there. I just know about that from one of my clients who Turkey, I think, is kind of like the hair transplant capital of the world here recently. Overcome. This is something that where they have a headset with VR and virtual reality exposures, and they offer coping techniques, breathing and relaxation. And then there's this thing called Weil Cornell. It's therapist guided sessions, tailored intensity for turbulence and noise. And these aren't necessarily, they're only for fear of flying. They're for other types of anxiety as well. And one of the things I'll say here, I don't mean to badmouth counseling or therapy, because I firmly have been a benefit. I benefited from that in my own life. The problem is I've had quite a few people in my 38 years come to me and saying, they've been in therapy for 5 years and to overcome their fear of flying, and they don't feel like they've really progressed. And that's one of the things I think Dieter and I have really been able to capture on, largely from the feedback that people like you have given us over the years in telling us what works. And we certainly try to keep it down to where you don't have to mortgage your house to get on your next flight. I find oftentimes I've had people with nothing more than a coaching session be able to get to the point where they can get on and have a couple of tools that they can try. So the positive things about VR is it's safe, and the places I've looked at have step-by-step practices. It can build your confidence and test your coping skills, and hopefully in the future it'll get more. I know that Apple's program, their VR, what is it, about $3,500 now, Dieter? I think that's and that's of course the leading edge of that. But I know that you'll be able to, on the latest upgrade to iOS, I know you'll be able to take pictures that actually can move around the object there. I don't know how it works, but it's going to be quite the thing. So, 10 years from now, gosh knows what we'll have available to us. So, why does 75% matter? Therapy works 75% of the time, or with 75% of the folks out there. So that's three or four people who reach out and try to do something. That's the 10% of the 100% of people who are fearful flyers. So, and that's, to me, was one of the saddest things. And that's why it's been kind of a passion of mine to get the word out, because it's so sad that so many people never, ever really overcome this. And so you're talking about only 10% of the people that have it, but when they come forward, 75% of them find success. And they find that fear of flying is changeable. It's not permanent. The belief that your fear is hardwired into you is false. In many cases, it's a learned response. Sometimes it's something that happened over which you had no control, and you just don't realize the choices that you have available to you out there. With the right tools, progress is not uncommon at all. And success breeds confidence. Every step forward that you take, literally flying or desensitizing yourself, helps you build momentum. And what I try to get people to focus on is having the next flight be better than the last one. That's what it takes to build confidence over the long term. And confidence spreads into other areas of your life. I got a little anecdote I want to share with you later on this evening. Overcoming your anxiety. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people. I just had a fellow that flew to Europe he started out in Salt Lake, ended up in London just 2 days ago, and he hadn't flown in a whole bunch of years. I hope to have him on as our guest here when he gets back and talk about it. And it was a struggle for him. I won't minimize that. But he's been working on it for about a month, and he got the harmonizer, and I did a custom visualization for him, and he made it. I got a really, really elated text message from him when he arrived early in the morning the other day. So, and he was really faced with the fact that if he doesn't get over this, it's going to seriously limit his career. He's involved in some really cool stuff, and in promotions and marketing, and without flying, he can't get to the places where he needs to be. So flying doesn't just mean feeling better by yourself. It means freedom and not just a way to get from point A to point B. And remember this, people minimize it. They say, oh, I made it, but it wasn't pretty. Well, progress, partial progress still counts. And flying, while it may still bring fear, you can make it more manageable. And like I said before, even small wins make a big difference in your life. There's looking ahead, there's hybrid models, telehealth, of course, which really exploded as a result of the pandemic. Airline programs, I looked, and I don't know, Dieter might have something, but there's not a program that I know in North America. All of them are in Europe, and even those programs, I think British Airways and EasyJet, I think are the two that are most often. But if you want to take them, I think British Airways has one program a year or two a year in New York. But other than that, you have to go to Europe to have any classes or fly with anything. And the future is combining human connections with technology, taking use of some of the VR stuff and all that's coming down the road, so that it's more so that help for people is more accessible, more personalized, and provides more hope for people getting support. Here's some of the programs that they listed. Like I said, EasyJet. I know that Virgin Atlantic, they don't have a program because the fellow that used to run their program now has his own program and does webinars once a month. Uh, Air France, I'm not, these were listed here, but I need to check them more deeply. But you can see none of them are in the US. The US got rid of their programs years ago. So, what do you need to remember? Fear of flying is common. It affects millions. You're not the only one out there. There's nothing wrong with you. And it shows up in things such as turbulence, anxiety, general anticipatory anxiety, claustrophobia or clithrophobia, and dread. And recognizing you're not alone is the first step. You've heard me say it more than once. When people come to classes, and one of the first things they utter is, "Oh my gosh, I thought I'd be the only one here tonight." And remember, therapy works. Exposure-based CBT is probably the most highly effective. I know I use it myself more than anything else. It does provide tools. Therapy provides tools that can help you to calm yourself, help you to reframe thoughts, and to take gradual steps. It doesn't erase the fear, and it doesn't happen instantly, but it gives you the confidence and the tools for lasting coping strategies. And remember, progress is possible. You've heard it here, 75% succeed in flying after therapy or as a product of their therapy. And remember that even partial success, partial progress is life-changing. Success looks different for everybody, but progress is achievable. And what you need to take away here is fear. Remember, fear is not going to go away overnight. People wonder, they say, why am I still feeling anxious before I have my first flight in 27 years? Because it's your first flight in 27 years. That's why. But therapy can make it manageable, and it help exists out there. There are tools out there, and you can reclaim your freedom in the skies step by step. Kind of segueing onto this is talking about what some of the things that we have to offer here, because flying opens doors when you break free from your anxiety. And if you are able to overcome that, you quickly remember that the excitement that you are reconnecting with had been replaced by worry or an avoidance. I have this thing continuum: anxiety in one end and excitement on the other end. And what happens is fear and doubt move us to more towards the end of the anxiety. It has its cost, being afraid to fly. People miss trips, miss flights, they miss opportunities, and it makes parts of the world unreachable. My personal background, over 30 years as an airline captain, another 10 years, 15 years with military experience. And I got my master's in counseling largely because I was so inspired from the first time I ever met a class of fearful flyers back in August of 1987. It was just heart-rendering, and I couldn't believe that it was such a big deal for people out there to do that. And my mission, and Dieter and I here at Fearless Flight, is to bridge aviation knowledge with the psychology of fear. Knowing more about those two things is puts you on the right track. Coaching offers more than just information. It's guidance, it's reassurance, and it provides you with practical tools that you can use to overcome your fear. And the goal is to help you feel safer, not completely fear-free by your next flight, but safer, calmer, and more confident, and reclaim your freedom to fly. Two things I want to highlight is a 15-minute coaching session, and Dieter is going to put the link in the notes there. Um, and what does that do? It's just I designed the 15-minute coaching session to help people move forward and find out what their next step was. It's designed for immediate needs. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that call me literally the day before they've got to fly. And it's in one of the immediate benefits is to reassure you and maybe give you one or two tools that you can do. For the long term, it really helps set you up on a journey that will have you feeling better and better and better. Picture sitting at the gate and your anxiety hits, and you need calm, trusted voice. And what I do in 15 minutes, I talk people through their immediate concerns, help them reframe spiraling thoughts, mainly catastrophic thoughts. And we do oftentimes do a quick breathing and calming technique. Teach them something that they can do. That's my point is, and if for any of you who have ever done the 50 minutes, you know that I don't have an egg timer. They're controlling it tightly. I want you to feel like it was worth your time to do that. And I want you to feel like you learned something in the 15-minute. And it's a great place to find out what you need to do for the long term. So feel free to schedule a 15-minute session if you have never done that before. Now, for people who want a little more of a deep dive, looking in here to look at their history, help identifying their triggers and patterns of anxiety, I recommend a 60-minute coaching session. I will talk about the basics about how fear works in your brain. I use this thing called the elephant and the rider metaphor to talk about our emotional brain versus our logical brain. And you'll get some practice and evidence-based tools such as distance self-talk, breathing techniques, reframing your thoughts, and visualizations. And we prepare you for all stages of travel, from the anticipatory anxiety that shows up when you book your flight all the way through the landing. And we'll even tell you how to debrief after each and every flight to make some positive notes about what worked better, and some other notes about what you would have done differently on the next flight, or what you learned from that flight. And you walk away with a personal action plan. And I record the sessions. I provide you with the video of that, and I provide you with a summary of that. Both I do that for the 15-minute coaching session as well. So you don't have to take notes. You could just focus on yourself. And our goal is to build lasting confidence and transformation for each and every one of you out there. I had to chuckle. Dieter put this slide together with a picture of me. Nice job, Dieter. If you half of you knew the technology that just went into just this one slide in the minutes, whether Dieter looks like he's just sitting there minding his own business, and he's been working his butt off to help me replace a slide that had another ugly captain on there. So anyway, so again, 30 years of experience. Dieter's been a licensed therapist. How long, Dieter? How long have you been working?
Oh, I've had my own practice since 2006, so that would make it pretty much 20 years,
Yeah, pretty much. Nice job. And we bring a unique blend of technical knowledge and psychological tools, which I think is why I've had the joy and the success that I have. Is that it's a way, and it's not so much about me being a pilot and 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 having this master's in counseling. The real thing I know is, I think has helped me so much with people, is one, having been a person with my own anxiety and with a therapeutic or a background of having done my own work and gone through therapy, and out there talking to people like you for 38 years. Oh my gosh, I can't believe what I've learned from people. And my goal is to educate your logical mind so it can help calm your emotional mind. When you get done, you feel both reassured and supported. That's based on the feedback that we get. And I really believe that it sets Fearless Flight apart from a lot of the other programs out there. And so I really, really would love to see you benefit, and for sure, just stay with it. Don't ever give up. So next step, you got a couple options we just mentioned tonight, either a 15-minute coaching session or a 60-minute if you have a better idea where you're at and you're ready to move forward. And in either one are stepping stones toward freedom. And each action that you take proves that fear doesn't control you. It's the story that we tell ourselves, and you can change your story. And flying can become a victory, not a fear. Okay, we want to mention again real quick, we have the October 25th Clear for Takeoff 301 class coming up. $197. That's $200 off of the regular price. And for those of you who will be in the LA area on October 11th, that's just for you. We're gonna do our LA Clear for Takeoff 101 class over in the Air Hollywood Studios up in Valencia, just north of Burbank there. And hopefully some of you, it'll be the preparation that you want and have been looking for to get the courage to fly with us on October 25th. These are the flights. Let me know. We'll include these in the notes as well. And the reason that we have 3 flights here, or 3 pairs here, is because I will be starting with the class with the folks in Burbank, flying to Phoenix. And then when we get to Phoenix, we will be joined by our Fearless Phoenix flyers. They're going to join us, and then we're going to fly back to Burbank. We'll have a little celebration there, and then I will return with the Phoenix folks later that evening. It's just unbelievably fun. I know you think I'm crazy saying that, but it really is. It's a great opportunity. I wanted to share real quickly. This is, of course, it's great when I hear from people flying and the success they had, and the credit that they give to our programs here. But Milika is someone I met. She's in Europe. She lives in Pamplona, where they have the site of the Running with the Bulls, which I have had the benefit of seeing once myself with one of my fearful flyers. Anyway, she wrote to me, wow, I can't remember how long, and she had to get from Europe over to Miami, and she was just terrified to do that. Well, we got her on an airplane. She made those flights and back, and she wrote this the other day. She said, I wanted to share with you a recent experience that made me think of you and all the things you taught me. Yesterday, I had LASIK surgery to finally get rid of my glasses after more than 30 years. This was a very important step for me. I wasn't nervous in the days leading up to it, or even that morning, but as soon as I arrived at the clinic, I felt a wave of panic, a bit like being at the airport before a flight. My husband and son were with me, and when I asked if I looked nervous, my husband said no, but inside I definitely was. They even offered me a mild anti-anxiety medication, which I refused. I asked my family to leave for a moment so I could sit by myself and collect my thoughts. I started by simply breathing, and that already lowered my anxiety enough so I could think more clearly. Then I remembered your words, that fear is just our perception, meaning it isn't real. I reminded myself that my doctor does over 1,000 of these surgeries a year, and that it only lasts 8 to 10 minutes. Compared to an 11-hour flight to Miami, I thought, I can handle this. I also remembered the elephant in the rider, picturing myself calming my elephant brain. Then I began distance self-talk, imagining what you would tell me. I heard your voice in my head saying, Milika, calm down. You've done much harder things. You've had surgeries before, and you were fine. Talking to myself in your voice was incredibly calming. After about 15 minutes of this, I felt completely calm. When they called me in for my surgery, I thought, okay, this is like takeoff. We're going. I realized my fear wasn't really about the surgery itself, but about something deeper, and I managed to face it. The surgery went perfectly with no problems. I took no medications at all, not even painkillers, and today I feel great. I just want to thank you, Ron, for everything you taught me. I truly feel that I now have the tools I can apply in any situation, not just flying. I know I have personality that can lean toward anxiety, but now I feel much more capable of managing it. Hope to see you here in Pamplona someday. You're always welcome. Warm regards, Milika. And this is really what Dieter and I enjoy, look forward to more than anything else. Not only when people uh, develop the skills and strategies to get on an airplane, but when they can find applications in the rest of their lives. And many of you out there don't just suffer from flight anxiety, you have full-blown anxiety disorders in other areas. And so I just really, really want you to take this to heart as I have. It's the best thing that you can hear as a teacher or as a helper out here. Okay, real quick, the Clear for Takeoff 301 class, October 25th. We'll be flying from Burbank to Phoenix and back to Burbank, and then I'll come back home that night with the Phoenix folks. We'll put these flights out there for you, and let's see. Any questions, Dieter? Geez, I feel like I've been a motor mouthing all along here. So,
Um, n no, there were a couple of comments which were just really cool, like just affirming what we've said, that really in North America, so both the US and Canada, there really isn't anything available quite like what we're offering. And Sandra said when she was looking for a program, ours was the only one where a flight was available in the program. And and there are a lot of people that find therapy helpful,
yeah,
which obviously we encourage. Um, but if a therapist doesn't have, I'm gonna say, both the language as well as the framework to really address fear of flying specifically, right? That's what you were mentioning earlier. Then, you could spend a long time in therapy, which obviously will be helpful. But what I just love about Milika's story is that she is using the things that she's learned overcoming fear of flying, and she is also using them in other areas of her life. So you start with the specifics, and then you recognize that there are patterns, and you apply these patterns. It doesn't tend to work just as effectively the other way. That's my own experience.
yeah,
um so I don't
for,
know
for
if
sure.
you if you find that as well.
Yeah. Um, this or in October 16th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, our next month's live monthly group coaching webinar, how to handle delays, diversions, and cancellations. You got yourself your courage up. You get on the airplane, and lo and behold, you get out on the tarmac and they stop, and you don't know. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, but it feels like 10 hours because another thing that seems to go with it is, oh my God, what went wrong? And oftentimes it's just routine. So we're going to talk about what those delays and diversions can be and cancellations, and we're going to talk about how you can handle them. So join with us. It's going to be a really, really fun thing to talk about, and we'll give you some tools to weather that. And with that, I want to just see if I can get back to this. Yeah. So, without any further questions here, we'll wrap up tonight's Fearless Flight Live. And again, Dieter and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Whether you commented or listened quietly or jumped on the replay or shared a story, yeah, we want you to all know that you are the reason that we're here and part of this incredible community. And that alone is a victory. So remember, overcoming fear of flying isn't about one magic solution. It's about finding the right tools, the right support, and taking small steps forward. We talked about therapy tonight and what really works. We had some stories of transformation, and we looked at the powerful tools available through Fearless Flight, whether it's a 15-minute coaching session for a quick reassurance, a 60-minute session for deeper preparation, or our Clear for Takeoff classes that help you reclaim your freedom. It all works, and it works because of you, all of you out there supporting each other. So again, remember, anybody in LA, consider coming to our 101 class in Los Angeles area, Valencia, up there on October 11th. And hopefully, and for the Phoenix folks, this coming Saturday night, October 4th, at the Sky Harbor Airport. And then, of course, we got our Clear for Takeoff 301 graduation flight coming on October 25th. So wherever you are, if you're in any one of those places, take advantage of them. But wherever you are, Dieter and I want to take this opportunity to let you know that we're with you every step of the way, whether it's watching a show like this, practicing a breathing exercise, or booking a class. It's all proof that you're stronger than your fear, and we're all stronger together. So thanks for trusting me. Thanks for trusting Dieter. And most importantly, thanks for trusting yourself. So until next time, keep practicing and believing. And remember, you were born to fly without fear. So good night, everybody. And we'll